Good afternoon. I'm Danielle Schenk in the 1011 Now Alert Center with your weekly consumer safety spotlight. Joining me now is Josh Planos with the Better Business Bureau. How's it going?
Hey Danielle, it's going pretty well. Thanks so much for having me.
Did you see? What did you think of the new intro that we have?
It looked pretty snazzy. It looked like a new graphics package. I felt like I was thrust into the segment, so I think it checked all the boxes I was looking for.
Yeah, the swanky new music and everything. As we switch over this week, we're switching over from streaming studio to Alert Center, and you're one of the first people to kind of experience the open and all of these new bells and whistles that we're rolling out. So, tell,
Honored. It felt very urgent. It felt like everything that we were about to say was breaking. So.
was super important. Well, that's good because today we're talking about a Nebraskan who got scammed while trying to get a passport. So, Josh, what kind of happened here?
Yeah, Danielle, on December 10th, we received a report to BBB Scam Tracker that indicated a Nebraskan lost nearly $200 just trying to get a passport. This is probably going to happen more and more because there's going to be a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands as we get closer to the holiday season. The consumer in question went to www.unitedpassport.com, and that site mimics the official government passport renewal site. It charges users for effectively a free form, right? So this company implies that they're going to submit your renewal directly to the US government, but it only actually sends you a form in yourself. And the company additionally has a cancellation policy that prevents refunds by processing orders in under 24 hours. So you essentially can't get your money back once you've signed up for this form that maybe you didn't know was free in the first place, and then you're out that money. So certainly we want people to be aware that this is going to be happening more and more as a lot of folks over the holidays use that time to create a plan for the upcoming year, right? You want to go on a holiday trip next year, summer trip, you want to travel internationally, you'll need a passport. That is a free process. Now, it's not as fast a process, I think, as a lot of people would hope, but it is something that you don't need to pay for. So unfortunately, this person learned that the hard way.
So, how often does the BBB kind of see scams related to passports or visas?
Honestly, quite a bit. I would say that I can think off the top of my head of a handful from Nebraskans alone in 2025. We saw this anytime there's confusion too around government agencies and kind of the status on government agencies and whether they're fully equipped. Certainly with a shutdown, there's a lot of confusion that results from experiences like that. But we have seen at least two from this year specifically about passport renewal going to a company to handle that process because of the confusion that surrounds it. While there are confusing wrinkles, this is never something that you will need to pay for. So certainly anytime somebody's charging you a fee, even if they're allegedly offering some sort of like additional service, like they can expedite the amount of time it takes to get the passport back to you. We see that in a lot of cases, right, where people have a trip in 2 weeks and need to have that passport immediately. It's very unlikely that you're going to get a passport turned around in that amount of time. So people go to corners of the internet that they otherwise wouldn't go. So have a general sense for how long it takes to process these types of efforts, and then also avoid anything that's going to allow you to bypass the line. Typically, those are hallmarks of a scam.
And so, what are some of the most common red flags related to scams impersonating government services like these passports? I mean, something that kind of stuck out to me on this website was just the text font. It didn't look government official.
Yeah, it does look a little on the bulkier side, I would say. The URL is the most important variable in question. Legitimate government web. .gov, it's not official. USA.gov, travel.state.gov. If you type those directly into your browser, instead of clicking on search engine ads or links, that is going to be a lot safer of a process. For folks who are looking for international travel opportunities, it's very common that based off your online activity that you're going to receive ads on social media communication via SMS or via email related to passports, because the powers that be know that you are interested in that sort of activity, that sort of experience. And so they will try to funnel ads that are more curated to help you through that experience. In a lot of cases, that's a good thing. But in some cases, this is truly just a company that's trying to profit off of the confusion around what it takes to get a passport. And so you want to make sure you're avoiding those and going through official channels, and beware of some of those sponsored search results too. We've talked about this in the past, probably not for a while, but anytime you just Google search something, the top three-ish results are largely paid for. Scam sites pay a lot of money to appear at the top of search results because it makes them look official when they're not.
Right. And so if someone has already paid a scam site, what immediate steps should they be taking?
Yeah, so it depends on what it is that you're trying to process, but that government agency wants to know it's being impersonated. They want to get to the bottom of it as quickly as possible. We want to know about it too. So please, go through the official channel to report that experience. The important thing is that you are reporting it, because again, a government form is always free, and no one should be charged to fill out a form that is free. So please report the experience. Scam Tracker is a really good place to do it. It takes 2.5 minutes, and you can be kept completely anonymous when you do it.
And so what are some tips that the BBB has to kind of offer to help people avoid these types of scams?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, don't rush the process. Like I said, we hear from folks who are trying to go to, Africa in 2 weeks and don't have a passport. If you are planning an international trip, one of the first things that you need to check is whether you have a passport. You're not going to be able to go otherwise. So scammers prey on urgency, and anytime you are put under the gun, you are going to make decisions that you otherwise wouldn't. So start the passport renewal process as early as possible, so you're not tempted by some of these expedited services that are all actually just scams. Ensure that you're double and triple checking that url.gov again is going to be the giveaway. That's going to be best practice. Look for disclaimers. Legitimate third-party services clearly state upfront what they provide and what they don't. And if the disclaimer is buried, that's usually a red flag. I would say a good rule of thumb is to verify something isn't a scam before you provide your personal and your payment information. For instance, if you were to look up that this website in question, this unitedpassport.com, whether or not it had been reported in the past as being really a scam, you would see that it has. And that is something that is extremely useful for folks at the point at which they're about to either go through with the experience or walk away from it. So that's why it's so important to report. But also, it's a really good thing to work into your general workflow for whether or not you're buying a holiday gift, to whether or not you're about to pay to get a new passport. Has this been used in a scam before? We see a lot of times in 2025 that a lot of these things that are kind of confusing and you might be on the fence about have in fact been related to scam activity.
Now, are there some seasonal trends or maybe local patterns like here in Nebraska that kind of make certain times of the year maybe a little bit riskier for passport scams?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that around the holidays in particular is when we're going to see a lot of government documentation type scams emerge, because there's more time away from work on average for folks to look into these types of experiences. There's seemingly a lot of the advertisements that we get nowadays suggest that you should get ready for the summer, and have a trip planned for the summer. So I think there's kind of an urgency to create a plan. Certainly the budgeting process that a lot of folks have seems to, late December, early January is a pretty significant part of that when you're creating a roadmap for yourself, your loved ones, friends to ensure you've got a good travel schedule plan for the upcoming year. But that is, this is really high time for a lot of scam related activity. And sadly, one of those that gets reported to us is folks just simply looking to get their passport renewed.
And so you said this was a case that kind of happened recently. Are Nebraskans frequently submitting reports about scams here?
Certainly, reports of scams by Nebraskans are up considerably. I would say that this year, actually, and I ran this as of a week ago, uh, reports in 2025 doubled, and that's
Wow.
just on Scam Tracker. So again, we report on what we know, and what we know is a very small percentage of what is actually being experienced because there's a lot of confusion around how to report, where to report, what's deserving of a report. But the reality is in the data, and the data suggests that scam related activity has never been more prevalent. And I do feel like we've said that more or less every year for at least 3 years. But that is the avalanche that we all face as consumers, is just the expectation that part of being a consumer is fielding requests for people who have ulterior motives or might not be actually who they are presenting themselves as. And
Hmm.
that's why it's so important to report, is because the need has never been greater to communicate that this is just part of the deal. Um, it's amazing that we have the technology to accomplish so many things, that we seemingly don't have the technology or the means by which to prevent all scam related activity, or to prevent that being a general part of being a consumer in 2025. And I hope in 2026 we can at least stop the trend of fielding the avalanche seemingly every day.
Hmm. Yeah, so some bad but good related to that. Bad that scams are up, but good that more people are reporting it, hopefully to the BBB scam tracker, at least one of those locations.
Yes, and truly, I can't say enough about those who do report. Um, we talk to people all the time who say, if only I knew now, um, if I only had the information that I do now, I wouldn't have had to go through with that experience. And educational outreach is a huge part of it. Doing segments like this is a huge part of it. Uh, Making it normal to have a conversation about scam prevention is a big part of it. So I do credit a lot of the folks who came forward to report their experience, particularly those who didn't lose any amount of money, because they still found it to be important enough to report to protect someone else from needing to go through it. So this holiday season, we're going to have a lot of time on our hands. I hope you don't have to field any scam related activity, but if you do, please take that 2.5 minutes it takes to file a report, because you might protect somebody in the process.
Yeah, I was just going to ask how long it takes to fill it out. 2 minutes, really not that long. And it doesn't look like there's too many questions that need to be filled out either.
Yeah, it is that balancing act of, you ask too many questions and people walk away. There's too much that's being asked of the person, and that's a larger and larger burden. At the same time, it's incumbent upon us to ensure that that report is verified, that that is a real experience, that we can say definitively, okay, this information is extremely useful to have in the report, so it can protect people. So we are constantly doing that balancing act, but I do believe that this is a very straightforward system that doesn't take a ton of time or effort.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you want to add about passport scams or even holiday scams, since Christmas right around the corner, right next week?
Yeah, I would say I really hope that you've done your holiday shopping by now. If you haven't, this would be a really good time to shop in person, if at all
Yeah.
possible, because transportation, shipping logistics are very complicated right now, and there's certainly going to be a lot of packages that are coming to our front door. But if you can't avoid it, one really great way to do that, and at the same time support your local economy, is by shopping in person. I can promise you it's going to go down a lot smoother than the experience that comes from the present not arriving on time. And unfortunately, that's effectively what you're up against if you're trying to purchase something online these days.
All right. Thanks so much for joining us here today, Josh.
Thank you, Danielle. Appreciate you.
All right, stay tuned to our website. Follow us on all our social platforms and make sure to download our app on Roku for the latest news of the day. From our newsroom to wherever you are, we'll see you on the next stream.
1011 News is everywhere. Download our smart TV apps and follow us on social media at 1011 News.